Hello, 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 and welcome back to another edition of Fan Talk, your favorite podcast by your favorite fan. That is me, of course, Kyle Brinchley, in the house on this Wednesday. We are back to daytime recordings. It was kind of fun. Last time we did a little late night special, but we're back. The sun is shining, beautiful fall day. We got the Rogue One posters. We got the leaves candle. I need to go to Bath & Body Works and get some candles, restock what I've had, and get that back up and going. If you're new here, welcome. Fan Talks podcast you can find anywhere you get your podcasts. I also upload on YouTube if you like the video version. Go search Kyle Brinchley Fan Talk. Please like and subscribe if you're watching for the first time. And if you're a returning fan, well, hello, welcome. We are way into the swing of things here. NFL, college football. It's going to be great. I'll tell you what games we should be watching in college football this weekend. I'll make my NFL picks. And I'll even talk a little bit postseason baseball. Yes, we've gotten to that time. September's almost over. That means postseason baseball in Major League Baseball starting. We'll save that for the end. Again, thank you guys so much for tuning in to Fan Talk. Please tell your friends this podcast is the coolest thing that you have ever listened to this week. And we're in week 4 of college football. And man, I just felt like the season just barely started. And it did, but we're already 4 weeks in. That's absolutely crazy. Let's take a look at the rankings. So as you can see here, Ohio State is still number 1, but look at Miami. Miami jumping all the way up to number 2. Watch out for the Miami team. Can they beat an Ohio State team? Can they overpower a Georgia team? They're 4-0. Big win over Florida. Sitting at number 2. Pretty cool there. Penn State rounds out 3, LSU 4, Georgia 5. Shout out to the Oklahoma Sooners who actually got a vote. You can see here this little number here for my audio listeners. You can't see, but on the rankings list, there's a little number in a parentheses. That means that they got a vote to be number 1. So as you can see, Ohio State got the most votes. Miami had 7, Penn State had 5. Oklahoma had 1 vote, which is crazy. I don't think they're a number 1 team, especially now that their quarterback, John Mateer, has broken his hand and will probably be out at least 4 games, which is crazy because the Red River rivalry, Oklahoma versus Texas, is not this week and not the week after, but the week after that. So it's in 3 weeks. So he'll probably miss that game, which is a shame because Arch Manning, John Mateer, that's television right there. But we'll keep an eye out on that. Sad to see Mateer break his hand. Had a fantastic game against Auburn. Led the game-winning touchdown drive there. Hopefully for a speedy recovery. Shout out to BYU. They made the top 25. A lot of BYU fans were like, we deserve to be at the top 25. And I said, you'll get there. You'll get there. Just keep winning. Play some real opponents. Calm down. Geez. East Carolina. You guys don't even know where that school is. You're East Carolina, that's not a state. BYU's in the top 25. Utah dropped out, obviously, because they got absolutely murked by the Texas Tech Red Raiders at home, 34-10. Texas Tech looks pretty intense. They are probably the Big 12 forerunners, in my opinion, at the moment. They're currently ranked the highest. Iowa State not too far behind. And BYU and TCU in the mix, which we'll talk about in a second. But there's your top 25 for week 5. Yeah, technically it's week 5 because I forgot about week 0, but we are just cruising along here in college football. And this week, there's some fantastic games to watch. Once we get to this time of the season, kind of mid-season, teams are done playing their Bush League teams. We're getting into conference play, which means you play the teams that you share a conference with, which means you play the teams that you're grouped together with. Every team is in a conference, unless you're Notre Dame or Connecticut. You're in a conference and you play those teams every year. And you get a conference record, and it helps determine who's the winner of that group, of that conference. And so we're kind of getting into that time now. We're getting into the moments where we can actually have competitive conference games. So what games should you be watching this weekend? Glad you asked. Let me tell you. We're starting out on Friday night. Sorry, date night. You better make date night tonight, Wednesday or Tuesday, because we got college football on Friday night now. And then on Saturday, and then NFL Sunday, Thursday, Monday, pretty much every single day of the week except for Tuesday or Wednesday. We start Friday night, 24-ranked TCU, 3-0 for the first time in I don't know how long, at least 3-4 years, goes to Tempe, Arizona to verse Arizona State. Arizona State coming off a huge win against Baylor on the road. Arizona State, as you remember, made the college football playoff last year. A lot of people had high hopes for them. They dropped out of the top 25 when they lost, but then I think a win against TCU here puts them back in. But TCU is now in the top 25 too, so they're a good team as well. That should be a fun Big 12 matchup to watch on your Friday night. Be sure to tune into that game. On Saturday, there are some fantastic games. Please block out your Saturdays. Mow the lawn yesterday so you can watch these games. USC, number 21, doing pretty good. 4-0, 2-0 in Big Ten play. Goes to Illinois, Champaign, Illinois, to face off against number 23, Illinois. Now, Illinois was ranked 9th, and then they lost to Indiana. They didn't just lose. They were obliterated by Indiana. What was it, 63-10 or something? 50. It was like at least a 40-point loss to Illinois. So they dropped all the way down to 23. They need this win more than they need air. Because if they lose 2 in a row, that Big Ten championship that they're chasing, over. They've already made their mistake. They've already slipped against Indiana. This is a big game. 10 a.m. on Fox, USC, Illinois. At the same time, over on ABC, we have Notre Dame, who is 1-2, but has played some very tough teams. And they're still ranked you're like a 2-loss team being ranked at 22. They've played some very tough teams, and they're going up against Arkansas. Arkansas, of course, an SEC team, usually towards the bottom, but it could be a fun, feisty one. They're coming off a nasty loss against Memphis, a game they should have won. Look for that game to be fun. That game's also at 10 a.m. on ABC. Shout out to the locals teams. Utah State travels to Nashville to play Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt's doing very well, 4-0, ranked 18th there in the SEC. Utah State's already played an SEC team in Texas A&M. Why not one more, boost their exposure? University of Utah, coming off that huge loss that I mentioned earlier against the Texas Tech Red Raiders, looking to get their offense back on track. Horrible offensive game. It looked like a high school game out there, like turnovers every other possession, could barely move the ball. Had glimpses, had like one singular glimpse, and then the defense just ran out of gas. They travel to Morgantown to play West Virginia, so all you Utah fans can catch that game on Fox as well at 1:30. Utah State, I already mentioned, 1:30 as well. Number 1 team in the nation, Ohio State, traveling to Seattle to play Washington, who is 3-0. This is the Big Ten opener for both teams. Should be super fun. Now, I don't know how good Washington actually is or will be, but an away game for Ohio State at Washington, you never know what could happen. At the same time, LSU, number 4 in the country, travels to Oxford to play Ole Miss, number 13 in the country. This SEC game will be cinema. It will be lights out. It will be incredible. Check that game out. Also, Auburn and Texas A&M. You're like, Kyle, slow down. You're just telling us every single game on the schedule. Yeah, I am. Because there's a lot of good games here in Week 5 in college football. So, like I said, you got to clear out your Saturday because there's a ton of good games. Get YouTube TV, get the fourplex going. Even Indiana, Iowa should be a really fun one. That one's also at 1:30 p.m. Indiana, of course, that huge win against Illinois that I just mentioned, vaulted all the way up to number 11. 4-0 start for them as well. And the list goes on and on. Fantastic games throughout the day. Tennessee, Mississippi State. That'd be a fun one. Tennessee only has one loss. Of course, that loss was to Georgia. Mississippi State's undefeated. Speaking of Georgia, Alabama play this weekend. Holy cow. It's kind of early in the season, in my opinion, but hey, who cares? Number 5, Georgia hosts number 17, Alabama. Tickets going as low as $403. That doesn't seem low to me, but if you want to sell your kidney and go to this game, go check it out. The weather should be nice. At the same time, number 6 Oregon plays number 3 Penn State. Holy cow, some amazing matchups. You can't miss these games. You have to go check out these games. Both those games at 5:30 Mountain Standard Time on national television. Get the dual screen going up in here. And from my BYU fans, you're playing late night, 8:15 Mountain Standard Time. You're number 25. You're traveling to Boulder, Colorado to take on Coach Prime and the Colorado Buffaloes. You got that? You get that huge long Santa's list of games you should be watching in college football this week. Holy cow. It's going to be super fun. I'm super excited for this week. I mean, how can you not be? How can you not be? I mean, if you're not excited for college football quite yet, then geez, you've missed the boat. It's 5 weeks coming, and we already have Heisman runner-up or Heisman favorites. We already have people who think that they're out of the college football playoff, like Clemson, and perhaps even a Notre Dame team with 2 losses. A lot of people are questioning that. It's going to be a crazy season. The next few weeks is just going to keep getting hotter and hotter as the temperatures cool down. The heat of those games heats up. All right. Enough about college football. Did you get all that? Did you get that whole list? If not, come back and rewatch. Let's shift our focus to the NFL and jump into my NFL weekly picks. If you don't know what I'm talking about, this is a fantasy football game that you can play on ESPN's website. No, it's not fantasy football. It's similar. It's called ESPN Pigskin Pick'em. All you have to do is pick the winner of each game each week. Quite simple. You just click a button and you pick the winner. I have a group specifically for this podcast. If you would like to join the group, I will link the invite down below in the description. Simply, you're competing against me and fellow podcast listeners to see who can make the most correct picks. Currently, I am in first place. Surprise, surprise. I'm pretty good at doing these NFL picks. But if you think you can beat me, join that link down below and prove it. All right, we're in week 4 of the NFL. Currently, I'm ranked 19,000th in the world. So that's in, I don't know. I have 98% correct is kind of what they're saying. The stats are giving me 37 correct picks, only 11 wrong picks. Let's start week 4 picks, Thursday night football, down in the desert, State Farm Arena. Seattle Seahawks visit the Arizona Cardinals. Now, Seattle's coming off a huge win against the Saints, where they just looked good. Sam Darnold looked good. All the receivers looked good. It was loud there in Seattle. They're playing quite well. 2-1 in the NFC West. Cardinals also 2-1 in the NFC West. Their only loss being to the San Francisco 49ers last Sunday on a last-second field goal. They're probably the worst 2-1 team out there right now because their offense is absolutely terrible. Their running back, James Conner, just tore his Achilles, so he's out for the year. But Kyler Murray has not been really putting up good numbers. The defense is okay. They're actually pretty good, but a pretty good defense can only go so far when the offense does nothing. I should know as a Denver Broncos fan, for years and years and years before Bo Nix, before Sean Payton, the quarterback play was terrible. The defense was good, but the team just couldn't put it together because without a competent quarterback and a competent offense, you just don't win in the NFL. So give me the Seahawks in this one. I think it'll be a close game. Should be a fun matchup there on Prime Video. But I like the Seahawks in this one. I think a lot of people are sleeping on them, probably just because they didn't know what to expect with DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett leaving, Geno Smith leaving, and Sam Darnold coming in. Give me the Seahawks in this one. All right. We have our first international game. Yes, the NFL travels all around the world. This first game will be in Dublin, Ireland. Ireland's getting a lot of football exposure. They had Kansas State, Iowa State earlier in the year, and last year they also had Georgia Tech and Notre Dame. They're getting a lot of exposure there. They love NFL football. Minnesota Vikings, Pittsburgh Steelers in Dublin, Ireland, NFL Network at 7:30 a.m. I like the Vikings in this one, and not because they just absolutely obliterated a destroyed backup quarterback and the Cincinnati Bengals, but the Steelers they're an interesting team. They looked good in week 1, and that was about it. Despite being 2-1, I think they just beat some bad teams in the New York Jets and the New England Patriots. So I'm going to go with the Vikings in this one. Carson Wentz filling in for J.J. McCarthy. Carson Wentz, is he showing glimpses of his 2017 MVP season? Who knows? Tune in at 7:30 a.m. to check that out. Give me the Vikings. Commanders at Falcons. Now, whether it's Marcus Mariota or Jaden Daniels, I'm going to go with the Commanders in this one. I think the Falcons are a weird team because each week I have a different opinion of them. Some weeks I'm like, okay, they're really good. And other weeks I'm like, they're not good at all. They just got blown out. They just got shut out by the Carolina Panthers 30-0. That's as low as it gets. So give me the Commanders in this one. Penix still has a lot to figure out. Their defense let Carolina score 23 points on them. So that's nothing to be proud of at all. Give me the Commanders. Saints at Bills. Ah, man, the Saints were probably hoping they'd at least have one win at this point. Going into week 4, they have to face the 3-0 Bills in Buffalo. Give me the Bills in this one by a million. Poor Saints. They're going to go 0-4. When will be their first win? I don't know. We'll have to see. Browns at Lions. Now, let's take a moment and give our dues to the Browns. How about that comeback against the Green Bay Packers? Down 10-0 with 5 minutes left in the game? Is that what it was? Or was it even less? I think it was 5 minutes left in the game, honestly. They score a field goal, they score a touchdown. They block Green Bay's field goal and go down and kick their own game-winning field goal. Hands down to the Browns. Horrific franchise and horrific history and depressed fans, but man, give them that win. Unfortunately, they're going up against the Detroit Lions, who look like, after losing week 1 to the Packers, that they figured out their offense. So give me the Lions in this one. Yeah, that's all I have to say. Go Lions. Okay, now this one's a little tricky in my mind because it's two bad teams facing off. Carolina Panthers 1-2, New England Patriots 1-2. Which team will be worse? Well, the Panthers had a better week last week. Patriots looked absolutely terrible at home and lost to the Steelers. They had 5 turnovers, and Drake May was responsible for, I think, 4 out of the 5. I'm going to go with the Patriots in this one. They're at home, which doesn't make a difference because they just lost at home. But the Panthers, I think, will have a harder time winning on the road. Bryce Young's still young. Well, literally. He only threw for 139 yards, so it's not like the offense was cooking against Atlanta. This is that Atlanta was shooting themselves in the foot, and Carolina was just playing well enough to win. So give me the Patriots in this one. Could be a game that you just forget about, honestly. But there you go. Somebody's got to win. Chargers at Giants. Give me the Chargers in this one. Holy cow, are the Chargers going to win the AFC West? Everybody was thinking it was going to be the Broncos this year, but the Broncos are 1-2. The Chiefs are 1-2. Chargers are charged up with wins against the Broncos, the Raiders, the Chiefs. They've already beaten their division. Now they get a very bad New York Giants team who will be starting Jackson Dart after an 0-3 start behind Russell Wilson. Hey, let's give Jackson Dart a try. We'll see what happens. Chargers all the way in this one. Hopefully Jackson doesn't get too scared off in his first NFL debut. All right, Eagles at Buccaneers. This one should be a super fun one. I like both these teams. Honestly, I'm a huge fan of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and what they do on offense. Their defense can help back that up. Huge last-second field goal against the Jets where the Jets came all the way back. I think the Buccaneers were up at least 2 touchdowns the entire game. The Jets came all the way back, blocked that field goal, returned it for a touchdown. But Baker Mayfield led too much time, led the Bucs on a drive in their orange creamsicle. It's actually their white creamsicle, but their creamsicle jerseys, last second field goal, game winner, Tampa Bay. They play a very good Philadelphia team who also won on a crazy last second field goal, except for they blocked it and returned it for a touchdown. Give me the Eagles in this one. This one should be so fun. These teams have met in the postseason a couple times in the last few years. Look for them to meet in the postseason again, honestly, in the divisional round, probably. Give me the Eagles this time, though, in Tampa Bay. Tennessee Titans and Houston Texans. The Toilet Bowl. We've made it to the Toilet Bowl. 2 0-3 teams who are not playing well at all. Neither team is looking good. Neither team is doing anything good, giving me any hope whatsoever. Any optimism within these fans only lies in the fact that one team has to win this game, and it's going to be the Houston Texans because they're at home and they're slightly less worse than the Tennessee Titans. Poor Titans go 0-4 with Cam Ward. Colts and Rams. Now, this one's a very intriguing matchup. ESPN is, or at least the pickers of ESPN Pick'em are really liking the Rams in this one. I don't know. This could be a closer game than a lot of people are thinking. I think I also like the Rams in this one, but the Colts are just playing so well. They might get a little taste of defeat, though, because the Rams have a really good defense, and they have an offense to back that up. I don't think the Colts have really played a team that has had both sides of the ball full functioning, really. They've beaten the Dolphins, who are a mess right now. They beat the Broncos, who have struggled on offense, and they just beat the Tennessee Titans, who are a very bad team. So now that they're playing an actually good team in the Los Angeles Rams, I think they will be knocked to their batoots. Give me the Rams in this one. Should be a fun game still. Jags at 49ers. Oh, I want to pick the Jags again. I picked them last week against the Houston Texans, and it paid off. I want to pick the Jags so bad, and I will not because the 49ers are at home. I think they'll do just enough to beat Jacksonville. If this game was in Jacksonville, I'd be inclined to pick Jacksonville. Mac Jones is doing just enough to keep his team undefeated. They're 3-0. And that defense is always good, led by Fred Warner. So give me the 49ers in this one. Could be a fun one, though. Go Jags. Okay, Baltimore Ravens, Kansas City Chiefs. You told me at the beginning of the year that both these teams would be 1-2, and that after this game, one of these teams would be 1-3. I'd be like, yeah, right, buddy. What is this? An alternate reality? But that is the reality. Both teams 1-2, some tough losses. Baltimore played some really hard teams, both their losses to Buffalo and the Detroit Lions. The Kansas City Chiefs, some tough losses as well. So this game's in Kansas City. I think Kansas City's going to win this game, honestly, because it's in Kansas City. A lot of people are picking Baltimore in this one. Baltimore's going to drop to 1-3, but I'm not worried about Baltimore. They'll bounce back. They'll make the playoffs. As for what they'll do in the playoffs, that is yet to be determined. They haven't really done much in previous years. So give me the Chiefs in this one. Chicago Bears, Las Vegas Raiders. A lot of 1-2 matchups this week. A lot of mid teams trying not to be even more mid. Bears coming off a huge win against the Dallas Cowboys. The Bears looked good. Caleb Williams looked good, which is a sentence I have not said since he played at USC. And so it should be interesting. I do think the Raiders actually win this one, coming off a tough loss against the Commanders and a tough loss against the Chargers the week before. They haven't beat anyone but the Patriots, but this game's at home. So I'm going to go with the Las Vegas Raiders in this one. It could be a mistake because every time I pick the Raiders to do anything, they don't do anything because they're the Raiders and they're not good. But it's a Bears team, Caleb Williams. I don't know. I just kind of feel Raiders in this one. Not much to say there. All right, Packers at Cowboys. Micah Parsons returns to Dallas. Oh boy, the NFL could not pass this up for primetime television. I'm going with the Packers in this one 100%. The Cowboys are a mess. CeeDee Lamb, unfortunately, is hurt. And Micah Parsons is going to get his revenge. He's going to get fed. And he's going to come after Dak. And they're going to see shots of Jerry Jones up in the stands going like this. Why did we trade him? Why did we trade him? And the revenge tour begins now. So give me the Packers in this one for Sunday Night Football. Monday Night Football, we have a double header. And both matchups are honestly a little underwhelming. You have the 0-3 Jets versus the 0-3 Dolphins. Who's going to win? Gosh, I don't know. I lean heavily into home games in the NFL, which doesn't always play out. I think home field advantage is definitely a lot bigger factor in college. But I am going to go with the Dolphins because they're at home. I think the Jets played very well, fought back against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, but have found themselves trailing most games. And until they can have a lead and maintain it, they're not going to win many games this year. So I'm going to go with the Dolphins. As bad as they are and as much as they struggled, this is a good game for them to get it right, at least get a win in the win column, save Mike McDaniel's job security for another week, and let Tua know that he can still play football. Maybe, I don't know. We'll see Monday night. The other Monday night game is the Cincinnati Bengals 2-1 visit the Denver Broncos 1-2. Broncos are at home coming off a tough loss, two tough losses, honestly, on last-second field goals by the Chargers and the Colts. Their only win coming against the Tennessee Titans. Bengals coming off their first loss of the season, getting absolutely destroyed by the Minnesota Vikings. But if you remember, Joe Burrow is out for 3 months with a broken toe. So it's Jake Browning doing his best behind a very questionable offensive line and a receiving core that has so much potential. But can Jake Browning really unleash that the same way Joe Burrow does? I say no. I say the Broncos win this one. They must win this one. Going 1-3 is not an option. And teams that go 1-3 only make the postseason 13% of the time. which for all you who don't know math is not very good odds. Give me the Broncos in this one. They'll be wearing their midnight blue jerseys. I honestly like the blue ones. They don't wear the blue ones that much anymore. It's kind of white and orange now, but I like the blue ones. It should be a fun game, however, or regardless. Look for Denver's offense to get back on track. This is a great game to do it against the Bengals defense that is not terribly that good. But give me the Broncos in this one to go 2-2. All right, ladies and gentlemen, those are my picks in the NFL this week. And as promised, I will talk a little bit of Major League Baseball. We are to the point, postseason MLB baseball is here. Let me tell you the teams who have already made the postseason. The Milwaukee Brewers, the Philadelphia Phillies, the Chicago Cubs, and the Los Angeles Dodgers. Those are 4 teams out of the National League, all divisional winners. Toronto Blue Jays are also in, the Padres are in, the New York Yankees are in, and the Mariners are in for the first time since 2022. They could win the AL West in the last few games here. So which teams are still in the hunt? The Red Sox, the Guardians, the Tigers, the Astros in the National League, the Mets, the Reds. Statistically speaking, the Diamondbacks are still around, the Cardinals, even the Miami Marlins, though it's not very likely for any of those teams to get in. Guardians and Detroit, they're fighting for the AL Central Division. The Tigers had that division wrapped up pretty much, but have gone ice cold, and the Guardians have gone red hot. Wild Card Series starts next Tuesday, so by the time I do next week's episode, Major League Baseball postseason will have already started. We'll talk more about that then. I'll tell you more about the half marathon I'm running and the vlog that I'll be doing, and so much more. Thank you so much for tuning into Fan Talk. Again, if you like what you see, please like, subscribe. I'm on Spotify, iHeartRadio, Apple, Amazon, wherever you get your podcast. Also here on YouTube. Thank you guys so much for tuning into Fan Talk, and I'll see you guys next week for another edition of Fan Talk.